In this lecture, we are going to understand SAP Certification Exam with new format, which is AI role play scenario based assessment, focuses on real SAP business problems solving rather than theoretical knowledge. So, in this session, I will explain how this new exam works, what to expect, and how you can prepare for it effectively using practical examples from SAP modules like FICO, MM, and ST. First, SAP scenario based AI role play certification, how it works. So, SAP AI role play approach is a new and very important development in SAP certification, which is the scenario based AI role play certification exam format, which focuses on how you think and solve real SAP business problems. It is a major shift from traditional exams, that is, from theoretical knowledge to real world problem solving. So, this is from theory based to performance based certification. Traditionally, SAP certification exams were mainly based on multiple choice questions where you were tested on your theoretical knowledge. However, SAP has now redesigned the certification process to focus on something much more practical, your ability to perform in real world situations. So, the new certification approach model, that is scenario based certification or AI role play approach, this means you are no longer tested only on what you remember. Instead, you are evaluated how you think, explain, and solve real business problems in SAP. In other words, this is a major shift from memorization to practical real world application, exactly how SAP consultants work in actual projects. So, certification is aligned with real job roles, focus is on practical skills plus business scenarios, and exams test how you perform tasks, not just what you remember. So, what is scenario based certification? In this new format, the exam is designed as a scenario based assessment. You are placed in a situation where you are assigned a role. For example, if you are a finance consultant, procurement specialist, or sales consultant, then you are given a business problem just like in a real SAP project. So, for example, your client has an issue with their receivables aging report and needs help reconciling it. So, this is the business problem. So, instead of selecting an answer, you are expected to explain your approach, walk through the situation, and think like a consultant before you answer. One of the most interesting aspects of this exam is that it uses an AI driven role play simulation. When you start the exam, a virtual AI avatar appears, it begins asking you questions. These questions are directly aligned with your SAP learning journey, so there are no surprises. So, I will show you the link to SAP learning journey in the end of this lecture. For example, the AI might ask, how would you solve this business issue using SAP? Your response can include advising a client, explaining a situation in a meeting. Now, let me clarify how the AI interaction actually works in the exam environment. You might imagine that you will be speaking to a virtual avatar like a human interviewer, but in reality, the experience is more structured than that. The exam is designed as a scenario based simulation where you are presented with business situations and asked to respond accordingly. You will typically provide your answers in spoken form, but your response is converted into text using speech to text technology. The AI then evaluates your answer based on this transcript using predefined scoring criteria. So it is not evaluating your voice tone or communication style like a human interviewer. It is evaluating the content, structure, and accuracy of your answer. That's why it is very important to focus on giving clear, structured, and complete responses rather than worrying about presentation style. Now, one important clarification I want to make here, and this is very important for your understanding of the certification process. While we are discussing the AI role play scenario based approach, SAP may offer more than one assessment method depending on the certification. In some cases, you may go through an AI guided scenario based assessment where your responses are evaluated instantly. But in other cases, there can also be an alternative approach where you record your response as a video and it is later reviewed and evaluated by human experts. So it is important to understand that the assessment method can vary and SAP is evolving towards more practical real world evaluation techniques. That's why instead of focusing only on the format, you should focus on how to think, explain, and solve business problems like a real SAP consultant because that is what is being evaluated. So, scenario based assessment result takes around 20 to 30 minutes and videos are scored by experts within 20 business days. In this exam, your answers are spoken, not selected. You are expected to speak clearly, explain your logic, and provide structured answers. You can take your time, pause if needed to think, even restart your answer if you want to improve it. But remember, the timer continues running even when you paused. So, time management is very important. You need to finish the assessment and all tasks in a single session, and once you start, the timer keeps running and you will not be able to pause and come back later. For example, here is the answer framework of how to answer. First, you can start with the role. You can say something like as a finance consultant or as an ST or MM consultant, depending on the scenario. This shows the examiner that you understand your responsibility. Next, mention the relevant SAP tools or applications. For instance, refer to the Fiori app or the specific transaction code in SAP GUI you would use. This demonstrates your practical SAP knowledge. After that, explain the steps clearly. Describe the process flow in a logical scenario so that your answer is easy to follow and reflects real system execution. Finally, end your answer with the business impact. You should highlight how your solution ensures accurate reporting, better control, or improved business outcomes. Another key difference is that this exam follows an open book exam. This is very important. This means you are allowed to use SAP resources, you can refer to documentation, you can check tools like SAP Help Portal, just like in a real project where you don't rely only on memory. Now, it is important to understand SAP's open book exam policy to clear up common misconceptions. SAP does allow access to certain official resources during the exam, such as the SAP Help Portal, SAP Learning Journeys, and official SAP documentation. However, this does not mean that you can freely browse the internet. External websites like Google, YouTube, or tools like ChatGPT are not allowed during the assessment. So, a more accurate way to understand this is that the exam is limited open book, where you can refer to SAP's official materials, but you are still expected to rely on your own understanding and practical knowledge. That's why preparation is still critical, and you cannot depend on searching for answers during the exam. Think of it as guided support, not unlimited access. Next, how you are evaluated. Your performance is evaluated by AI using predefined criteria, consistent scoring standards. This ensures that every candidate is assessed fairly. Evaluation is based on quality of explanation and understanding. So the focus is on your thought process, your clarity, and your ability to solve problems. So to pass the exam, you need to achieve a minimum score of 60%. However, the key difference is that your evaluation is now based on how well you explain your situation, your understanding of business processes, and your ability to think like a consultant. Further, the predefined scoring criteria, also known as evaluation rubrics, which are designed and validated by human experts. So the AI is not making random or subjective decisions, it is following structured guidelines created by SAP professionals. The role of AI here is to ensure consistency and fairness in evaluation, meaning every candidate is assessed using the same standards. In simple terms, the logic comes from the human expertise, and the AI ensures it is applied consistently across all candidates. That's why your focus should be on answering in a structured, clear, and business relevant way, because that is exactly what the evaluation criteria are designed to measure. So, what happens after the exam? Once you complete the assessment, the system provides you score and you receive detailed feedback. This includes your strengths, areas where you need improvement. If you do not pass, you can retry within the allowed time or use another attempt from your subscription. If you do not pass, you will have another attempt to take the exam according to the subscription you may have. For example, if you go for the following certification option, that is SAP Certification Exam, two attempts, then you will have two attempts plus 10 practice hours. And if you have SAP Learning Hub subscription, then you will have four exam attempts. And you can separately buy SAP Certification Exam with one attempt and SAP Certification Exam with six attempts. For more information, you can follow this link. So, what is the real goal of SAP certification? SAP certification is no longer about memorizing answers, it is about understanding business processes, applying SAP knowledge, and communicating solutions clearly. And with this new certification approach, SAP is ensuring that you are not just certified but actually ready to work in real SAP projects from day one. And now I will show you useful SAP links related to this new format of SAP certification. So first, SAP Certification Hub, that is main entry. So we can access it by using the following link. Then SAP Learning with new learning experience platform, and we can use the following link. And this is where SAP now integrates learning journeys, practice systems, role based content, and certification alignment. And here are some more useful SAP links related to certification. So we can also directly access to SAP learning journeys, that is role based learning, by using the following link. Similarly, we can access SAP certification exam information by using the following link: SAP Learning Hub, that is a subscription platform, by using the following link: SAP Practice Systems, that is hands on access, by using the following link. So I have opened all the SAP links which I showed you through PowerPoint slide at my end. So the first link is for SAP Certification Hub, where you can filter the certification according to the exam language, product, product category, and role. So let's take a look at product first. So if I will type here SAP, then I can find the product that is SAP S for HANA Cloud Private Edition. Or if you are using SAP S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition, then you can select that. So let's select Cloud Private Edition and then click Apply. So now you notice that all the certification list which you are viewing is for SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. And then you can find a certification according to the module which you want to take. For example, here is the certification for project systems, and that is for asset management. Further, if you scroll down, so here we can find the certification for sales module, which is also known as SAP ST module, and this is for sourcing and procurement module or MM module, and this is for FI module. And if you further scroll down, so we can also find the other certification related to service, and here we can find the certification for CO module. So let's open one of the certification exam, and I'm gonna open this financial accounting certification. So this certification exam is based on a new format where you will complete one activity within a total duration of 24 hours and the passing score is 60%. Just to clarify few points here. For example, new format in most cases indicates that the exam includes scenario based or AI driven assessment components. But instead of assuming it is exactly the same for every certification, it is better to understand that SAP is moving in this direction and the focus is shifting from theoretical questions to practical real world scenarios. So you need to verify the current format, scenario based or multiple choice questions for your specific certification at learning.sap.com before your exam. Once you achieve the certification, it will be valid for 12 months. The good part is that you can extend your certification for another 12 months each time you successfully complete a new assessment. Additionally, you will receive personalized notifications so you don't miss your certification expiry and can renew it on time. Now, one interesting thing I want to highlight here that I have just refreshed the browser while recording this lecture, and you can see that the point 24 hours to complete is no longer visible on this certification page. Earlier, this information was shown, but now it seems that SAP has either updated the interface or removed this detail from this specific view. So, this is a good reminder that SAP learning pages are continuously evolving, and sometimes certain details may appear or disappear depending on updates or the specific certification. Now, what I will do, I will go back to browse certification and take a look at a few other certification exams and see whether this information appears there or not. So let's take a look at SAP S/4HANA Private Cloud Edition and then click Apply. So I will open the certification exam for controlling, and this is for sales, and this is for sourcing and procurement. And here we have financial accounting. So let's take a look at its page for CO exam. So you see that it doesn't say 24 hours to complete, and it also indicates the certification exam in new format with one activity and 59% cut score. Let's take a look at sales. So again, it has a new format with one activity, 82% cut score, but 24 hours to complete has also been removed from this certification page. Now, for sourcing and procurement, shows new format with one activity and 76% cut score, and 24 hours to complete has also been removed from this certification page. Next, here you can access the related learning journey for a certification directly from this page. Alternatively, you can also browse other SAP learning journeys by using its dedicated link, where you can search a learning journey by filtering through a product category, role, and level. So, what is SAP Learning Journey? It is a cloud based platform providing SAP training, learning journeys, live sessions, and practice systems to help users prepare for SAP certifications and skills development. So, the first step is to prepare yourself through this learning journey link, and then you come to this page where you can go to certification exam. For example, if I will click on this navigational card, so it will directly take us to the learning journey course, which we can take to develop our expertise. And you can also find different sub courses under the main course for financial accounting in SAP as for HANA. Let's go back further. If you want to visit frequently asked questions related to get certification, then you can use this link, and here you can navigate to these questions to get answers. The next link is for SAP Learning, that is new learning experience platform, and here you can explore trending topics such as artificial intelligence, technology, platform, SAP Business Data Cloud, SAP Business Suite. Scroll down, and here you can access latest resources and most popular certifications. Get onboarded with SAP Learning Hub and explore tailored content for partners, students, and for learning managers. More from SAP Learning. Here you can join SAP Learning group. You can watch onboarding videos, and you can explore topics in Learning at SAP community. Next, SAP Learning Journeys, which I have already showed you, and further you can filter the course which you want to take by using the product category filter, or you can filter the courses via roles, levels, or products. Next, this is the Get Certified link, which gives you the SAP certification exam information. You can browse SAP certifications, and it will directly take you to the SAP certification hub. Let's go back, and further we can know what's new in reimagining certification in the age of AI. You can learn more, and further you can experience the proven benefits of certification through these links. And further, if you scroll down, so here you can choose the subscription if you haven't subscribed. Scroll down, and here you can learn more about Stay Certified and Stay Ahead. Here are most popular certifications list, and here you can find answers about more questions which you have related to the certification. So let's choose subscription. So you have three options. You can get SAP Learning Hub subscription as a customer, as a partner, or as a student. So you can explore these links yourself one by one, especially if you are student in a university, then this link will be helpful for you to learn about that how you can access SAP Learning Hub as a student. Key benefits included in every edition, and here you can find the hands-on practice systems. Again, this requires subscription to access hands-on practice on SAP environment. Let's go back. Further, you can view key benefits included in every edition, such as expert-led live sessions, get and stay certified, and self-paced learning. The next link we have is SAP Learning Hub, that is a subscription platform. And here you can watch the following videos as key benefits for subscribers. And here you can go to my learning, browse by capability, and further topics you can go through. The next link we have is practice systems support that gives the answer of any question you have related to accessing practice systems, such as how can I start with accessing practice systems? What is the difference between practice systems and sandbox? So, this page tries to answer the questions which normally are asked by the subscribers. And here are some more useful SAP links related to SAP certification, such as through this link, you can discover new scenario based assessment by watching these videos, and further you have question, and here is the answer which you can go through on this page. Next, we have this link, reimagining certification. So you can go through this guide to understand the certification, which is the new method. And here is the document on SAP certification, practical exam overview, and status guide, which you can also go through to learn about SAP certification. Next link we have is SAP practical exam, the essentials. And again, here are the questions and its answer. So this page is also quite handy to understand the new format of SAP certification. I will now demonstrate you SAP AI role play scenarios examples for financial accounting, which are based on SAP S/4HANA Certification Exam new format. Before we move into the SAP AI role play scenario examples for financial accounting, here on the SAP certification page, you can see the certification SAP Certified SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition Financial Accounting. And most importantly, you can see the exam code, which is C underscore TS4 FI. So this is the certification that follows the new exam format, including the scenario based assessment approach. So keep this exam code in mind. Here is the first example related to GL posting and cost control. And you will be presented with the following AI driven scenario or question, that you are a finance consultant, a client wants to record office expenses and proper cost tracking. How would you handle this into SAP system? Remember this answer framework of how to answer, which I showed you in the previous lecture, such as you can start with the relevant role, which depends on the scenario. Next, you can mention SAP GUI transaction codes or Fiori apps which you use to perform that scenario. Then you can explain steps clearly as a process flow, and finally end your answer with the business impact, that how your solution ensures accurate reporting, better control, or improved business outcomes. So here is the ideal answer. First, start with the role. As a finance consultant, I would record these expenses in the form of a vendor invoice since these are vendor based expenses. Then you can mention SAP tools by using either SAP GUI T code FB60 or Fiori app, create incoming invoices. And here, just to clarify that I have mentioned both the SAP GUI transaction code and the Fiori app for your understanding. However, in the exam, you only need to mention one depending on the system you are using, either SAP GUI or SAP Fiori, not both. The third step is explain the steps. Enter the document date and posting date, enter the vendor details and company code, select the correct GL expense account, enter invoice amount and tax code, assign the appropriate cost center for controlling integration. Before posting, I would simulate the entry to validate correctness. Finally, I would verify the posting using manage supplier line items Fiori app or transaction code FBL1N if you are using SAP GUI. And finally, highlight business impact, accurate financial reporting, and proper cost allocation in controlling. So that's the example of an answer you can give to AI. If you want to add more details, then you can do that because it will always be better to provide as much details as possible to AI. Now, if you want to learn this process in a complete hands-on way, I have covered it in detail in my Udemy courses. For SAP GUI users, you can take my course SAP S/4HANA Finance and Controlling Configuration and End User, where in Section 16, Lecture 164, I demonstrate this exact process step by step. And if you are working with the SAP Fiori user interface, then you can take my course SAP S/4HANA Finance and Controlling using Fiori apps, where in section 11, lecture 61, you will see the same process explained using Fiori applications. So, depending on your system access, SAP GUI or SAP Fiori, you can choose the course that best fits your learning path. Similarly, the next example is related to customer payment clearing. AI question is, a customer has made a payment, but invoices are still open. How would you resolve this? Then again, you can start with a role. As an accounts receivable accountant, I would record the payment in the form of a customer payment since this is an incoming payment. Then you can mention SAP tools by using either SAP GUI T code F-28 or SAP Fiori app post incoming payments. Then you can explain the steps, enter customer details and payment amount, select open invoices, match and clear the relevant items. Before posting, I would simulate the entry to validate correctness. Finally, I would verify using SAP GUI T code FBL5N or SAP Fiori app manage customer line items to confirm clearing. Then you can highlight business impact. This process ensures open receivables are cleared, customer balance is updated. Now, if you want to learn this process of customer payment clearing in a complete hands on way, then in the following Udemy course, in its section 19, lecture 195, I have covered this process for post incoming payments with cash discount for customers. Similarly, for SAP Fiori course, I have covered this under section 10. It's lecture number 47, that is post incoming payments for customers, that is a period end activity. The next SAP FI role play scenario example is related to asset accounting, asset acquisition. AI question is, a company purchases a fixed asset from a vendor. How would you record it in SAP? So, again, start with a role. As an asset accountant, I would record this purchase by posting the asset acquisition with vendor. Then mention SAP tools by using the transaction code F-90 or Fury app post acquisition integrated AP without purchase order. That's the name of the Fury app. Then explain the steps, enter the document date and posting date, enter the amount and vendor details, relevant posting key and transaction type, assign text category if necessary, then post acquisition. Then you can highlight business impact such as this process ensures updates asset value, posts to asset GL account, proper asset capitalization, and accurate balance sheet reporting. Remember, you don't need to mention the exact name of the Fury app, but you just mention the name of the Fury app which you remember. For example, you can just say post acquisition Fury app. You don't need to mention full name of the Fury app. Now, if you want to learn this process of asset accounting, asset acquisition, then you can take this course and then in its section 29, lecture 282 will demonstrate you this process. Similarly, if you are using SAP Fiori, then you can take this course and then in its section 13, lecture 76 will demonstrate you the process of asset acquisition in SAP asset accounting. The next SAP FI role play scenario example is related to foreign currency valuation. The AI question is, how would you handle foreign currency valuation at period end? Start with the role. As a GL accountant, I would execute foreign currency valuation in SAP, which is one of the period end activities. Then mention SAP tools by using the SAP GUI T code FAGL_FCV or Fury app perform foreign currency valuation. Then explain the steps, identify open foreign currency items, run valuation using its related transaction code. The system adjusts exchange rate differences and posts gain or loss entries. Then highlight business impact. This ensures accurate financial statements and compliance with accounting standards. Now, if you want to learn this process of foreign currency valuation by using SAP GUI transaction code FAGL_FCV, then in this Udemy course, in its section 40, lecture 411 will demonstrate you its configuration and then 412 will show you its end user activity. I will now demonstrate you SAP AI role play scenarios examples for management accounting, which is SAP CO module and are based on SAP S/4HANA Certification Exam new format. First, on the SAP certification page, you can view its related exam code that is C_TS4CO. So first example of SAP CO AI role play scenario example is related to cost center planning and budget control. AI question asks you, a business wants to plan and control departmental expenses. How would you handle this? So start with a role. As a cost accountant, I would define cost centers for each department and then use cost center planning in SAP system. The second step is to mention SAP tools by using plan budget values, using planning tools such as transaction code KP06 in SAP GUI or Fury app import financial plan data. Then explain the steps, allocate planned costs across periods, monitor actual versus planned costs using reports. You can also add further steps of this process if you know about it. The last step is to highlight business impact. This ensures effective cost control, budget monitoring, and better financial decision making. Now, if you don't know this process and want to learn it in a complete hands on way, Then you can take the following Udemy course, where in section 31, lecture 315, I have demonstrated the exact process step by step. If you are working on SAP Fiori user interface, then you can take my following course, and then in its section 18, lecture 112, you will find the exact process step by step. Similarly, the next scenario example is related to internal order tracking. AI question is, a company wants to track costs for a short-term project. What would you recommend? So you can start with a role as a cost accountant. I would create an internal order in SAP to track project specific costs. Then mention SAP tools by using transaction code KO01 in SAP GUI, or by using Fiori app, create internal order. Then you can explain these steps: create an internal order, assign a budget if required, post all related expenses to the internal order, then monitor actual costs using order reports, set settlement rules. Finally, settle costs to a related cost center or profitability segment. Then highlight business impact of this process. This ensures transparent cost tracking, controlled spending, and proper cost allocation making. And if you want to learn internal order configuration and end user activities, then you can take this course, where in section 35 I have demonstrated the configuration and end user activities related to internal order, especially its lecture 368, where I have demonstrated how we can create real internal order master data. If you are using SAP Fiori user interface, then you can take the following course, and in its section 23, lecture number 143, I have showed the creation of real internal order master data by using its related SAP Fiori app. The next scenario example is related to cost allocation, that is assessment or distribution method. The AI question is, how would you allocate overhead costs from one department to others? So start with a role as a cost accountant. I would use cost allocation cycles in SAP. Mention SAP tools by using the relevant transaction code in SAP GUI or its related Fiori app. And here you probably have noticed that I haven't mentioned the relevant transaction code in SAP GUI or its related Fiori app name. This is an important tip for you, that in the exam or even in real interviews, you don't always need to remember the exact transaction code or Fiori app name. If you are not sure, you can confidently say something like, by using the relevant transaction code in SAP GUI or its related SAP Fiori app. This shows that you understand the process even if you don't recall the exact technical name. However, whenever you know the exact transaction code or Fiori app, you should mention it, because that makes your answer stronger and more professional. For example, you can see the transaction code KSU1, which is for actual assessment cycle. So in SAP exams, marks come from logic, not memorization. Tools support your answer, they don't define it. Then you can explain these steps: define sender cost center, define receiver cost centers, choose allocation method, it could be distribution or assessment, then maintain allocation cycle, execute the cycle periodically. Then you can highlight business impact. This ensures proper overhead allocation, accurate cost distribution, better cost visibility across departments. Now, if you want to learn this process, then you can take the following course, and then in its section 33, lecture number 339, where I have created and executed actual distribution cycle and Also, in lecture 346, I have demonstrated how to create and execute actual assessment cycle with secondary cost element as an end user. If you are using SAP Fiori user interface, then you can take the following course, and in its section 19, I have showed this process in lecture 118, or with assessment method, I have showed this in lecture 124. The next scenario example is related to product costing, that is the sub module of SAP CO. The AI question is that a company wants to calculate the cost of manufacturing a product. How would you approach this? Then you can start with a role as a cost accountant for production. I would use product costing in SAP. You can mention SAP tools by using the relevant transaction code in SAP GUI or its related Fiori app. Then you can explain the steps, create cost estimates for materials, including BOM and routing data, calculate standard cost, then analyze cost components, update standard price if required, and then you can highlight business impact. This ensures accurate product costing, better pricing decisions, and improved profitability analysis. Now, just to clarify, product costing itself is a core controlling topic, and I have briefly touched on it in my SAP S4HANA sales course, mainly from a business perspective, where we see how costing impacts pricing and profitability. So, if you want to understand how product costing connects with real sales scenarios, you can go in section 19 and watch all the lectures under this section, especially lecture 140, where I have demonstrated the configuration and end user activities related to sales order costing or product costing. But for deep configuration and complete product costing, that would typically come under a dedicated CO course. The next AI role play scenario example is related to profitability analysis, that is the part of SAP CO module. The AI question is, how would you analyze profitability for different products or regions? You can start with the role as a cost accountant for sales. I would use profitability analysis into SAP system. Then you can mention SAP tools by using the relevant T codes in SAP GUI or its related Fiori app. Then you can explain the steps, define characteristics such as product, region, and customer, capture revenue and cost data, then analyze cost components, update standard price if required. Then you can highlight business impact. This ensures insight into profitable segments, better strategic decision making, and revenue and cost transparency. So, I have covered profitability analysis as a topic in the following Udemy course, where in section 33 you can find the relevant configuration and its end user process. I will now demonstrate you SAP AI role play scenarios examples for sourcing and procurement, which is also known as SAP MM module, based on SAP S/4HANA Certification Exam new format. First, on the SAP certification page, you can see the certification SAP Certified SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition Sourcing and Procurement. And most importantly, you can see the exam code C underscore TS 452. So keep this exam code in mind because this is the certification that follows the new exam format, including the scenario based assessment approach. So, first AI role play scenario example is related to procurement process end to end. AI question: you are a purchaser. A department needs to purchase materials. Explain how you would manage this. Remember this answer framework of how to answer, which I showed you in the previous lecture, such as you can start with the relevant role, which depends on the scenario. Next, you can mention SAP GUI transaction codes or Fiori apps which you use to perform that scenario. Then you can explain steps clearly as a process flow, and finally end your answer with the business impact, that how your solution ensures accurate reporting, better control, or improved business outcomes. So you can start with a role as a purchaser. I would start by creating a purchase requisition with material, details, and quantity. Then you can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI transaction code ME51N or its Fury app. Create purchase requisition advanced. Then you can explain these steps, convert the PR into a purchase order, assign a vendor, ensure pricing conditions are correct. Once goods are delivered, post goods receipt to update stock, and perform invoice verification to record liability. Then you can highlight business impact. This ensures proper procurement flow, inventory update, and accurate financial postings. Additionally, you can also mention the transaction code related to post goods receipt, which is MIGO, and logistics invoice verification transaction code is MIRO in SAP GUI. Now, if you want to learn this process, then you can take my following Udemy course on SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement MM materials management. And in its section 11, after the configuration, I have showed the first step, that is to create purchase requisition. Then I have showed how we can create purchase order with the reference of purchase requisition and then to display stock overview. Similarly, if we scroll down, then we can find section 12, lecture 81, where I have showed the creation of goods receipt and then logistics invoice verification in lecture 86. If you want to learn the same process end to end through SAP Fury, then you can take the following course, that is SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement using Fury apps, where in its section 9 I have showed the process of purchase requisition, then purchase order, and then in section 10 goods receipt, and section 11 shows the posting of supplier invoice, which is also called logistics invoice verification. The next AI role play scenario example is related to source determination and vendor selection. AI question is, you are a purchaser, a company wants to automatically select the best vendor during procurement. How would you do it? So you can start with the role as a purchaser, I would configure source determination in SAP. Then you can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI T code ME01 or its related SAP Fiori app manage source lists. Then you can explain the steps, maintain source list for materials, define quota arrangements. If multiple vendors exist, you can maintain purchasing info records. Then system automatically determines vendor during purchase requisition or purchase order, and then highlight business impact. This ensures efficient vendor selection, reduced manual effort, and consistent procurement process. Now, if you want to learn this process, then you can take the following Udemy course, where in section 9 I have showed the process of purchasing info record, source list with configuration and end user activities, and quota arrangement usage with configuration and end user activities. And if you want to learn the same process by using SAP Fiori apps, then you can take the following course. And in its section 7, I have showed the creation of purchasing info record and source list. The next AI role play scenario example is related to stock transport order. AI question is, a company wants to transfer stock between two plants. How would you manage this process? So you can start with the role as a purchaser. I would use stock transport order in SAP. Then you can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI transaction code ME21N or its related Fiori app manage purchase orders. Then you can explain the steps. Create STO between supplying and receiving plant. I would use document type UB and item category U. Generate outbound delivery, then post goods issue from supplying plant, and then post goods receipt in receiving plant. And then you can highlight business impact. This ensures accurate stock movement, inventory visibility, and proper tracking across plants. And you can learn this process by taking the following Udemy course, where in section 19 I have showed this process: stock transport order from plant to plant with configuration and end user activities, and also stock transport order from one company code plant to another company code plant. So you can watch both lectures to understand the process of stock transport order. The next AI role play scenario example is related to material master creation. AI question is: a new material needs to be created for procurement and inventory. How would you handle this? Then you can answer by starting with the role. As a product master data specialist, I would create a material master in SAP. Then you can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI transaction code MM01 or SAP Fiori app create material or manage product master. Then you can explain the steps, define material type, maintain basic data description, unit of measure, maintain purchasing view such as vendor, price, and then you can highlight business impact. This ensures proper procurement setup, inventory management, and accurate financial valuation. And I have showed the process of material master data creation in the following course in the section 7 from lecture numbers 52 to 58. And similarly, if you want to create material master by using SAP Fiori, then you can take the following course. And in its section 6, lecture 18, I have showed the creation of material master by using the Fiori app. Similarly, in the sales course, the same process is showed under the section 7, lecture 73 for finished products, and then from 75 to 80, I have showed the creation of different material master data. And you can also go for this course if you want to learn material master data migration in bulk by using migration cockpit. The next AI role play scenario example is related to purchase order approval workflow. AI question is: a company wants approval before a purchase order is released. How would you implement this? So you can start with the role as a SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement consultant. I would configure release strategy in SAP. Then you can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI relevant configuration steps in its display IMG screen. Then you can explain the steps, create characteristics and classes, define release groups, codes, and strategy, set delegation of authority, set approval conditions such as approval limit. Then PO requires approval before processing. Then you can highlight business impact. This ensures controlled procurement, authorization compliance, and reduced risk of unauthorized purchase. So I have showed this process in the following course in section 37, lecture 213 and 214 with configuration and end user activities. The next AI role play scenario example is related to GR/IR clearing. AI question is: how would you handle differences between goods receipt and invoice receipt? You can start with a role as an AP accountant for procurement. I would analyze the GR/IR account in SAP. Then you can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI transaction code MR11 or SAP Fiori app, clear GR/IR accounts or reconcile GR/IR accounts. So these are two different Fiori apps. Then you can explain the steps, compare goods receipt and invoice receipt values, identify mismatches, then adjust differences or follow up with vendor. Then you can highlight business impact. This ensures accurate financial reconciliation, correct liability recording, and clean GRIR account. If you want to learn GRIR clearing, then you can take my course. And in section 29, lecture 171, I have demonstrated this process. The next AI role play scenario example is related to physical inventory process. AI question is, a company wants to perform physical inventory. How would you handle this in SAP? Then you can start with a role. As an inventory manager, I would execute the physical inventory process in SAP. You can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI transaction codes MI10 or SAP Fiori app. Manage physical inventory count. You can explain these steps. Create physical inventory document, count stock physically, enter counted quantities, then post differences. Then you can highlight business impact. This ensures accurate stock levels, inventory control, and compliance with audit requirements. And you can learn this process in the following course in its section 22, lecture 130, where I have showed this process as an end user. I will now demonstrate SAP AI role play scenarios examples for sales, that is SAP ST module based on SAP S/4HANA Certification Exam new format. Here on the SAP certification page, you can see the certification SAP Certified Implementation Consultant for SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition Sales, and most importantly, you can see the exam code, that is C underscore TS462. So keep this exam code in mind. So the first SAP ST AI role play scenario example is related to pricing determination. AI question is, how does SAP determine pricing in a sales order? Remember this answer framework of how to answer, which I showed you in the previous lecture, such as you can start with the relevant role, which depends on the scenario. Next, you can mention SAP GUI transaction codes or Fiori apps which you use to perform that scenario. Then you can explain steps clearly as a process flow, and finally end your answer with the business impact, that how your solution ensures accurate reporting, better control, or improved business outcomes. So you can start with the role. As a master data specialist, I would create pricing condition records through which SAP determine pricing in a sales order. Then you can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI transaction code VK11 or SAP Fiori app create condition. Then you can explain these steps, use condition technique, maintain condition records, then system applies pricing based on customer, material, sales area. Then you can highlight business impact. This ensures automated pricing, consistent billing, and reduced manual errors. And you can learn pricing condition records by taking this course in its section 16, lecture 1 to 7, 1 to 8. So all these lectures in this section demonstrate you the end user activities. And you can learn the same process using SAP Fiori apps by taking this course, where in section 7 I have demonstrated sales pricing condition records using its related SAP Fiori app. The next AI role play scenario example is related to no journal entry generated. AI question is, you are a sales consultant, a billing document has been created in SAP S/4HANA, but no accounting document is generated. And the system shows the message, no journal entry generated. How would you resolve this issue? Then you can speak by starting with a role as a sales consultant. I would first analyze why the billing document did not generate an accounting document. Then you can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI transaction code VF02, that is to change the billing document, and VFX3 to display the list of blocked billing documents. And you can also use SAP Fiori apps, manage billing documents, or list blocked billing documents. Then you can explain these steps. I would check the billing document status to confirm that accounting is not created. Then you can run transaction code VFX3 to identify the accounting errors in the billing document. And then in VFX3, I would review the error log and identify the root cause. Common issues may include missing general ledger account determination, that is in transaction code VKOA, or incomplete account assignment, or configuration issues in billing or pricing. Then I would correct the configuration or master data issue, release the billing document from VFX3 to generate the accounting entry. Then you can highlight business impact. This ensures revenue is properly posted in finance, financial accounting is updated correctly, and integration between ST and FI is maintained. And if you want to view the demonstration of this scenario, then you can take the following course, where in section 25, lecture 178, I have demonstrated this process of releasing billing documents for accounting as an end user. The next AI role play scenario example is related to credit management check. AI question is, a customer order is blocked due to credit limit. How would you handle this? Then you can start with a role. As a credit controller, I would first review the customer's credit status. You can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI transaction code S case or Fiori app case management. Then you can explain the steps, check credit limit and exposure, analyze open receivables, then coordinate with finance team, request credit limit increase or approval. Once approved, release the blocked sales order, and then you can highlight business impact. This ensures controlled risk management, smooth order processing, and financial stability. Now, if you want to learn the process of credit management check, then you can take the following course, where in section 37 lectures I have demonstrated this process of credit management check. The next AI role play scenario example is related to customer returns process. AI question is, a customer wants to return goods. How would you process this into SAP system? You can start with the role as a returns and refund clerk. I would handle the customer returns process in SAP. Then you can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI transaction code VA01 or SAP Fiori app manage customer returns. Then you can explain the steps, create a returns sales order with the reference to billing document, then generate return delivery or inbound delivery, receive goods back into inventory, perform inspection if required, finally issue credit memo. Then you can highlight business impact. This ensures proper returns handling, inventory adjustment, and customer satisfaction. If you want to learn customer returns process, then I have showed this process in the following course in its section 28, lecture 197, customer returns as an end user. The next AI role play scenario example is related to delivery processing issue. AI question is, a delivery cannot be created due to stock shortage. What would you do? You can start with a role as a shipping specialist. I would analyze the availability check in SAP. Then you can mention SAP tools by using SAP GUI transaction code CO09 or Fiori app monitor product availability. Then you can explain the steps, check stock availability, review available to promise, then reschedule delivery, coordinate with procurement or production. Then you can highlight business impact. This ensures accurate delivery planning, customer satisfaction, and efficient supply chain management. Now, if you want to learn topics like availability to promise and transfer of requirements, then in the following course, I have demonstrated the configuration of both topics in section 18 and then end user activities under section 19. And similarly, by using SAP Fiori related apps, you can watch the lecture under section 9 and section 10.